was working 60 hours a week, doing the job of an entire production team, and still, it wasn't enough. So my boss smiled, sat me down, and fired me. But what she didn't know, 2 days later, she'd unknowingly sign a deal that would cost her career and hand me more money than I'd ever made in my life. If you've ever been treated unfairly at work, underestimated, or pushed to your breaking point, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to Silent Comeback, and turn on bell notifications, because today's story is one of the most satisfying workplace revenge stories you'll ever hear. This happened back in the early 2010s, before content creation became what it is today. Back then, YouTube wasn't saturated. There weren't thousands of editors, freelancers, and AI tools to speed things up. Everything took time. And I mean everything. So when I got hired as a content creator for a university trying to build their YouTube presence, I was actually excited. Even though the pay, about $2,200 a month. Not great. But I saw potential. I thought, this could be my stepping stone. On my second day, my manager called me into her office. She smiled, warm, encouraging. Then she slid a piece of paper across the table. Here are your KPIs. I looked down. 85 videos in 52 weeks. I blinked. I thought maybe I read it wrong. I hadn't. That's when I realized this wasn't just a content job. This was 5 jobs in one. I had to write scripts, find talent, shoot everything, edit the videos. They even composed music because they were too cheap to pay for royalty-free tracks. And the worst part? Their equipment was ancient. Their computers couldn't even handle proper 720p editing. So I had to use my own gear, my own software, my own time. I tried to explain this. I told my manager, this isn't realistic. She just smiled. That same calm, almost dismissive smile. Just try your best, she said. If the quality is good, I won't focus on quantity. And for some reason, I believed her. For the first month, things were fine. She was supportive, friendly. Then one day, everything changed. She found out I was a smoker. And just like that, her entire attitude flipped overnight. Suddenly, I smelled like smoke after breaks. I was unprofessional, coming in 5 minutes late, even after working 4+ hours of overtime daily, was a problem. Not answering calls during my break, also a problem. It became constant, relentless, like she was just waiting for me to fail. One of my colleagues even warned me. She literally face-palmed and said, "You told her you smoke? She hates smokers. She's gotten people fired for that." That's when it clicked. This wasn't just about performance anymore. This was personal. Still, I pushed through. I worked 6 days a week, over 60 hours. I poured everything into those videos, and they weren't bad. In fact, they were the best performing content that the university had ever posted. More views, more engagement, more traction. But none of that mattered. 5 months in, I got called into the director's office, and the moment I walked in, my stomach dropped. My manager was already there, sitting quietly, with this strange expression, half disappointed, half satisfied. The director looked at me. "I'm very disappointed." My chest tightened. She continued, "It's halfway through the year, and you've only completed 30 out of 85 videos." I couldn't believe it. I tried to explain everything. The hours, the workload, the fact that I was doing the job of an entire production team. I even reminded them, "You said quality matters more than quality, and these videos are performing better than anything you've had before." The director didn't even hesitate. The KPI is 85 videos. That was it. No discussion, no consideration, just a number. And then, my manager leaned forward and said something I'll never forget. "We'll just hire a professional production house to finish the work." The way she said professional, like I was nothing. That's when it happened. A switch flipped in my mind. A quiet, cold realization. You want a production house? Fine. See, part of my job was maintaining a database of production houses. Contacts, emails, phone numbers, everything. And I knew one thing for sure. My manager had zero industry connections, which meant she'd rely entirely on my list. So before I left, I made a few adjustments. I changed numbers, scrambled emails, made sure every single contact was useless, except one. A friend of mine, a junior director, talented, hungry, waiting for his big break. I called him, told him everything, and then I said, I have a plan, and it benefits both of us. I walked him through it step by step, exactly what to say, exactly what they wanted to hear, exactly how to position his company as the perfect fit. In return, a 15% finder's fee. He didn't hesitate. Within hours, I was speaking to his general manager, and when they realized this could be 6 months of high six-figure work, they agreed immediately. Contract drawn, deal locked. 2 days later, they got the call, came in to pitch, and it went exactly as planned. They spoke like they knew the university, like they understood the brand, the tone, the vision, every single detail. My former boss? Amazed. The director? Impressed. They're perfect, my manager said. And just like that, they signed the deal. Here's the thing about production houses. They're not cheap, not even close. Each video cost 2 to 3 times my monthly salary, but they had full teams, producers, directors, cinematographers, sound engineers, editors, so they worked fast. In just 4 months, they produced 50 videos, and the total cost? More than 100 months of my salary. Let that sink in. And me? I sat back and collected my 15% cut, which came out to about 15 months of my salary. I used the money wisely, took a vacation, invested in my education, started building a future on my own terms. And honestly, I thought that was the end of it. Justice served, lesson learned, move on. But karma wasn't done yet. I was in Bali, relaxing, when I got a call from that same colleague, the one who warned me. She sounded shocked. Did you hear what happened? I said no. She told me, my former manager? Fired. And the director? Absolutely torn apart by the chancellor. Why? Because the project had a set budget, about 1.5 years of my salary, and they exceeded it by over 10 times. My manager had panicked. She needed to prove she could finish what I couldn't. So she approved everything, every invoice, every cost, without proper authorization, and it destroyed her. The same person who mocked me, who called me unprofessional, who set me up to fail, ended up destroying her own career. And the system that ignored my effort paid 10 times more to replace me. Meanwhile, I walked away with more money than I'd ever earned, a boosted career, and the satisfaction of knowing they needed me more than they ever admitted. Sometimes, revenge isn't loud, it isn't dramatic, it's quiet, calculated, and patient. Because when people underestimate you, they often build their own downfall. If this story gave you that satisfying feeling of justice, hit that like button, subscribe to Silent Comeback, and turn on bell notifications so you never miss another story like this. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? And if you have a revenge story or something similar and want it turned into a video, share it in the comments section or reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or email so I can feature your story next.